Hiya, welcome to A Travel Culture. Today, we go through a normal day of brick making.
Previously, we shared our visitors' learning of brick making by SEO. Hope you enjoyed it, or you may kindly visit our documentaries to see more of it.
Now, we share how on a local normal day our day-to-day is goes on by the natives.
We focus on our water source today, specifically the rainwater source.
There are several sources of water to make bricks.
This includes the streams or swamps where we fetch. Sometimes a ditch is dug by the site to collect water when it rains, and if it's really a dry season, one may be forced to fetch from the tap, which can be very expensive.
So one should try to save costs and use natural streams, as brick making can make water quite expensive.
You may be wondering where we are going to, walking by the road. Especially a marram road like this, we usually have ditches.
These ditch holes can create bad turbulence of vehicles, but it can be worse when it rains as they collect water.
Therefore, cars moving can splash water on people who are walking by when transportation hits the ditch.
It may be walking at night and fail to see or remember the water collection ditch.
Hence step into it accidentally.
Then splash, splash, splash.
However, these places are also great collecting water coins when it rains for brickmakers. One man's meat is another man's poison.
So here we moved with one of the brickmakers to collect water from the ditches on a previous rain day. His preference is to fetch in this ditch as the stream is far off. This is also to show you how this extra water source is used for brickmaking. The jerrycan was dipped into the ditch to collect a whole lot, and an extra container was used to fill it out.
Once all done, the jerrycan, now full of water, is carried back to the site to continue or start the process of brick making.
I found him in the middle of making bricks. The water was finished, and he was interested to share his nearest water source. Of course, cars move by this road, and since the ditch is around the corner of the road, one has to be careful to watch out, especially when bent away to fill the jerrycan up with much water.
Brick making is very important in our community, as it's the main ingredient of construction for modernized housing and fencing such as those you can see we are passing by to the right.
Now that we have arrived back at the destination site, passing through several already made bricks before we pass those just made still wet in formation.
Brick making is an interesting concept that involves digging up the soil and mixed in water to form a wet mushy starch which is shaped into a nice triangle.
Sometimes a specific plot of land can have its soil dug up to make bricks.
The very bricks are used to construct on the same specified plot. It can help save costs.
However, if it's a home residence that will have a compound, one has to be careful to leave certain parts that will make the compound. This helps to save the loam soil that will help the grass absorb the water easily, especially on a rain day.
Else, it has been observed places which were all dug up have less absorbable aspects, leveling they are clogged.
The grass seen being dug out is important for covering on the wet bricks to allow them to dry slowly in the sun other than directly, which can cause cracking breakage.
The grass is carried to the wet brick area and spread out across.
The mold hips seen covered in the old blue tents is wet soil molded the previous.
Now ready for the actual brick shaping process. Usually the soil has to be mixed with water the previous day before it's left overnight to form nicely or cook for use in the actual process. Watch our previous documentary to have a full feel of how the full process runs. Here we see the tunnel of baked bricks lined together.
These were formerly just dried bricks. Once bricks are dry, they can be used for construction, especially for mud and wattle housing in permanent infrastructures.
However, for permanent housing will require baked or cooked bricks like these. The difference is those unbaked remain brown like soil while those baked turn orange. And the costs between differs too. The baked are more expensive than the unbaked bricks.
Fire is placed in these huge holes here. These were formed below the organized, well-aligned brick tunnel.
Huge logs of wood are placed here and lighted all night.
It's usually better to burn at night as the smoke can be a lot lighting the whole neighborhood's skies.
So it's best done at night when everyone, including animals, are asleep.
However, in huge formalized brick-making mining environments, the burning can be done during day. It's noble business as customers come in and go.
Though, in all aspects one has to commit the time and right amount of wood, else the bricks may become half-baked and not usable, thus putting all energy to uselessness.
Alright, there we have gone through the day-to-day brick site making. It's been a pleasure.